Add Khalil Herbert. Wow. If I had a nickel for every time someone has said that this week. What's going on, everyone? It's Eric, aka Doc, coming at you from the Triple Play YouTube channel. And if you're liking these videos or some of the other stuff we're putting out, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps us, and we want to give you some informed decisions. And this week, I'm telling you why to add Khalil Herbert. And you're probably thinking, Eric, come on, that's obvious. Duh. Well, first thing you need to do is check to see if he's available in your league, because he's owned in only 25.2% of ESPN leagues and in 49% of Yahoo leagues. So he's below the 50% threshold for two major formats. So first thing, pause this video, go and see if he's available. But if you know he is, keep watching, because let's look at what Khalil Herbert did in 2021. So he actually took over for David Montgomery, who hasn't been the epitome of someone that can stay healthy. So in the weeks that he was hurt, weeks 5 to 7, he had 55 carries, 272 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. That's about an average of 18 carries per week. And it resulted in 7.5, 19.2, and 18.3 fantasy points. It's good stats. Now, looking at the stats this year, week 1 against the 49ers, he had 9 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. Week 2, he had 4 carries for 38 yards. And in week 3, that's where we really saw him going off, and what inspired this video, 20 carries for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 catches for 12 yards on the ground. So that was good for a 30.9 fantasy point day. But looking forward, I'm going to tell you why I'm even more optimistic. Now, we know that the Bears are a run-first team, or maybe that they don't allow Justin Fields to pass. But I was astonished when I actually saw the numbers. So through 3 games, the Bears have 45 pass attempts, and they have 104 rushing attempts. Now, this includes Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery, Justin Fields, if they've done end-arounds with Equinemius St. Brown. But Khalil Herbert has 33 carries in 3 games, which is wild that he has 12 less attempts than Justin Fields does passing. Now, keep in mind, this is a new regime with the Bears. They're not necessarily tied to Fields on here, and the Bears are 2-1 right now. So why are they going to take away what's served them really, really well, which has been running the ball? And we've seen some teams, the 49ers, the Ravens, do that, ground and pound, get the defense tired out, and then maybe you throw the ball. But Khalil Herbert, I actually think, might have some higher upside than David Montgomery. So as I'd mentioned, week 3, Khalil Herbert had 30.9 points. David Montgomery has never had that game in his career. Justin Herbert had 150 yards through 3 quarters. David Montgomery has never had a 150-yard game in his career. And when you look at that explosiveness, Khalil Herbert had a 4.50 time in the 40-yard dash, and David Montgomery had a 4.63. Now, what we've seen is in the last 2 years, David Montgomery hasn't had that burst. He's had 257 carries between 2021 and this year, and he hasn't had a run of over 50 yards, where we just saw Khalil Herbert do that. And with the shelf life of running backs, that sometimes it's just year to year, David Montgomery might not have that same burst that he used to. I don't think he's the unquestioned workhorse that we thought he was coming in. Now, just looking ahead to the schedule, they play the Giants, who just gave up 178 rush yards to the Cowboys on Monday night. Then they play Minnesota, who's allowed 48 points in their last 2 games against the Eagles and the Lions. And then they play the Commanders on a short week in Chicago, where the Commanders have allowed 82 points in their first 3 games. So that seems pretty favorable for him. Even if David Montgomery does play, I think Khalil Herbert has shown that he deserves a bulk amount of carries. I'd say even 50-50 if the Bears really want to maintain this run-first philosophy. Now, you're probably asking, how much FAAB would you spend on him? I would say 30%, because what we've seen is, running backs haven't been dominant this year, especially a lot of the ones that you've taken in the first round haven't been giving you the return that you've been looking for. B, he's going to get a good workload. David Montgomery hasn't been able to stay healthy. So if David Montgomery does get hurt and go down, I think he is a high-end RB2. and from the position of leverage. You can now trade Khalil Herbert to a David Montgomery owner. You can try to acquire David Montgomery on the cheap, and now you have the Bears backfield lined up. But I would say if you're in an 0-3 situation, or if your running backs are really, really not producing for you, I'd be as good going as high as 35 to 40%. Personally, I don't like going above that just because it's a long season. But if you need wins, I understand going out for it right now. So for all of those reasons, I'm saying Khalil Herbert is a must-add. Don't be afraid to break the bank in terms of FAAB. For everybody that watches this, we really appreciate you tuning into Triple Play. Good luck in week 4, and hopefully you can add Khalil Herbert.